going on? What's going on, everybody? Justice, what's up, man? Hey, thank you so much for the super chat. Keep shredding. I'm not one for a shredder, but all right. Let me you ever think of this super sick song? See if you can play that. No, seriously, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate your super chat. You're the man. So what's going on, everybody? I'm going to do the usual thing here that I do with the old streams, and that is get the chat monitored on my laptop, and then I'm using my phone for what you guys are seeing right now. And then, so then I'll just wait for a couple more people to show up, and then, you know, get started on what today's topic is, and that is memorizing the fretboard and making it actually way easier than anything that I've kind of researched on my own, and just kind of like apply it towards the rock and metal guitarist. You know, from the majority of us that are tuning in and watching this, we are rock and metal players. And a lot of the lessons that are online are geared towards like jazz artists and classical guitarists and blues guitarists, and that's fine. But I want to do it in a way that's a little bit more practical for the genre that's really kind of lacking in the theory department. And that's kind of like what I've been kind of preaching the last couple weeks as I'm stuck inside, as we all are. And you know, it's like I want to do a lot more teaching, because unfortunately spent a lot of time in the classroom learning through jazz artists and classical guitarists and what have you, and there wasn't too many rock players and metal players, and I had to kind of figure it all out on my own, and then kind of just take all that information and translate it into a tool that I use for myself. And so now I figured, why not start to incorporate that in my videos and my content while we're all stuck in the house and don't really have too much else going on in our lives. So I hope everybody's doing well, hope everybody's staying healthy, and I'm just going to wait like 2 or 3 more minutes, and then we'll get started with the official lesson. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using a standard tuned 6-string guitar. I know, not the most metal thing in the world, and trust me, I understand that, and I will talk about how the standard tuned guitar applies to drop tunings, 7 strings, 8 strings, 9 strings if you want to go that far, if you want to use theory for that. But yeah, I just have to speak one language, and the easiest one for me to speak it is standard tuning when teaching. I never understood that, but I'm going to explain all of that and why that's a thing, and why standard tuning is the standard, literally and figuratively. So, you know, I'm really looking forward to doing this, because this is something that not many people talk about, and I hope you get something out of it, and that is just how to understand what the heck's going on the fretboard, to understand where all the notes are in music. So I'm going to say hi to a couple people in the chat, and then we'll get started, all right? It feels weird seeing someone shredding on a Les Paul. Well, hey, thanks, man. I know these things aren't really... They're not the most ergonomic instruments in terms of shredding, if you will. But you know, you guys know this guitar. I recently got it set up from a local luthier, and he basically rebuilt the whole thing for me, and it's so fast, and it's not the most, I guess, the most ergonomic thing, but it's mine, and like I've been spending a lot of time with it, and it's like I'm kind of like learning it and relearning it, and I'm making it work, man. So thank you, I appreciate it. What's up, Ray? What's up, dude? But for real though, that's a nice Les Paul. I have an Epiphone Les Paul Custom too. Hell yeah, man, that's awesome. Michael, what's up, man? Colin, Ray, coming in clutch with the theory. Hell yeah, man. All right, guys. So I got a couple people watching right now. So First off, I gotta learn how to speak again. So how today's video is gonna work again in standard tuning. If you have a notepad, if you have a pen, pencil, you know, and you want to write some stuff down, by all means, I do encourage it. If you're catching this at a later date and time, by all means, you can pause this stream and then get set up, and then come back to, you know, to me speaking and hit play. And then from there, I want to go for about 45 minutes, give or take, depending on how much I ramble, basically, and how much I explain. I have things that I want to talk about, but, you guys know me. I kind of tend to trail on and get a little sidetracked in my own brain. But if you have questions, I'll check periodically on some big points about, certain topics that I'm going to explain. But if I don't answer your question, please don't take offense to it. I'm just, I'm going to be making sure I get the content out and the instruction out. And then, I'll check in periodically, ask some questions, make sure everybody's good on certain topics. And then from there, I'll open up to some questions at the end. And then, as always, I'll open it up to just a regular old Q&A if you guys have anything on your mind that you want me to talk about, ask about, etc., etc. And then, yeah, we'll go from there, right? So, hope you guys are all ready. Again, standard tune, 6-string guitar, right? That's what I'm going to be using for the vehicle for this stream. So, why is the fretboard, first off, why is the fretboard so important? Well, like I said in my last video, rock and metal can get away with not using theory more than other genres. And, that's a blessing and a curse. I was guilty of getting away with it long enough without needing it and without knowing theory in the fretboard. But as I get older and as I kind of just continue to obsess over music and, X, Y, and Z, just wanting to become a better musician, better player, better teacher, I had no choice but to learn theory, in my opinion. And so what I kind of realized is that metal, especially in modern metal, as we get into the whole gent and metalcore, it's more or less about a sound more than it is an actual melody. You know what I mean? What I just played right there is not a very metal style. It's like a rock and a blues lick, whereas metal is more has to deal with percussion and attack and everything that we always obsess over with the tone of a metal guitar. And that's good, but people just try to lean on this forever, and then they run out of things to do, and then all of a sudden what they're trying to write is the same thing as they tried to write 2 years ago, because they haven't progressed in their mind in terms of how to go in an advanced step and try to go in the next step. You know what I mean? So what's important is you have to, at some point in time, you have to understand theory, in my opinion. You have to understand the fretboard, in my opinion, at some point. Because, you can be the most technically proficient physical player. You can shred, you can play all these awesome licks, all these riffs. But then when somebody who knows theory is like, okay, my song's in a key, I need you to write a riff in this key, I need you to write a harmony in this key, I need you to write a lead or a solo in this key, or a bass line if you're a bass player. You have to understand that language, and you have to understand that knowledge and that the language and the knowledge. It's all a matter of just being a musician and speaking the musical language. And by learning the fretboard, that's how you learn. That's where you speak the language. These are your building blocks to speak this said language, the music theory and the notation of music theory. So, all right, key important thing right here. There's 12 notes in music. There's no more, there's no less. There's only 12. You look at shredders like Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, Jason Richardson, etc., they only know 12 notes because there's only 12 notes in music. Now, there's more than 12 literal pitches, and that has to deal with octaves. For example, pick an A note. Here's an A, here's an A, here's an A, here's an A, and then here's an A. Those are all A's. Those are all different pitches and octaves, but the literal note A is the same. You know what I mean? Here's more A's. Here's an A, here's an A, here's an A. They're all over the place, and that goes with all 12 notes in music. And those 12 notes range from A, well, you could start anywhere, I guess, but I'll start with A because it's the first letter in the alphabet, and it starts from A to G sharp and everything in between, all right? And I'm going to label these for you on the guitar. And I'll start with E because we're in standard E. This is my low E. And more often than not, rock and metal players use the lowest string as a guideline and a baseline for creating riffs. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna go coast to coast, meaning from one octave. I'm gonna go from the zeroth fret, no fret, open basically, all the way to the 12th fret, and I'm gonna label all of the notes. Okay? So if you're following along, by all means, I'm going to go from 0 to 12. So E, F, F sharp slash G flat, G, G sharp slash A flat, A sharp slash B flat, B, C, excuse me, C sharp slash D flat, D, D sharp slash E flat, and then E. Now we're back to our starting note. Our starting note was E. That's coast to coast, that is one octave, and everything that I just played is all of the notes in music. Literally all of the notes. There's no more. Again, there's different octaves and different pitches. There's no more than 12 notes. Everybody with me so far? I mean, you can't see nod to your computer phone screen if we're all on the same page. Questions so far? What about microtones? All right, that's a little advanced. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a little bit. Microtones, yeah, that's a little advanced. We're just talking about basic or any other scale system. That, again, we're talking about guitars right now. This is the fretboard. We're talking about just basic music theory. All right, stay with me on this for now. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to I'm gonna teach you a lot of this on the 5th fret, which is the A note. A is kind of my favorite place to teach everything, and it's in the middle of the fretboard. And all my students that sign up via Patreon, they all know that I like the 5th fret, and they know that's where I like to teach things. And I like to teach because it's right in the middle of everything. So I'm going to teach the major scale now. All right, the major scale is the granddaddy of scales in all of music. You guys have heard, I'm sure you guys have heard of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, and do, right? You've heard that whether you're in elementary school, middle school, high school, whatever, theory class, wherever it is, you've heard that I guess as a phrase. I forget the actual mnemonic device, maybe that's what those things are called. But they're called solfege syllables. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, and do. And that has to deal with all of the notes in the major scale. And the major scale is comprised of a series of whole steps and half steps, all right? So it goes whole step. So I'm going to slow down a little bit. So everything in music is comprised of the major scale, and the major scale goes like this. We're going to start on our open E, and then I'm going to show you how to do it on the 5th fret, which is A, okay? So open E, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, and then half step. That is the major scale, one octave major scale. And that is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So do, re, mi, fa, sol, la. I can't sing it. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. My oral techniques are not up to par. But that's one octave major scale, all right, and that is 7 notes, and then the octave is the 8th note. So there's 7 notes in a major scale / 8 notes, because to complete the scale you go to the octave, so that's 8 notes, all right. So that is the major scale, all right, and the major scale, whether you're dealing with modes, soloing, anything, keys, all derives off of the major scale, literally everything. So now, getting to the A on the 5th fret, all right? The 5th fret is an A. I'm going to do the exact same thing that I just did using my whole steps and half steps on this note, and I'm going to go one octave. So 5th fret, whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Oops, I'm sorry. Whole step. Let me do that again. I'm sorry, I messed up. So start on 5th fret A, whole step, half step, whole step, half step. That is the major scale. All right. I hope everybody's following so far. I'm sure this is a lot of review for those of you who've taken any sort of theory or anything like that. Yeah, pretty simple stuff. So What's really cool about the major scale is all 12 notes are in the span of that major scale in that one octave. And this is where knowing the fretboard really starts to like kind of unveil itself, and you kind of like see what's going on the fretboard, okay? So, what do I mean by that? All 12 notes in music are in the major scale. Well, you're only distinguishing, and you're only what's that called? Not glorifying. Showcasing, I guess, is a good word to say. You're only showcasing 7 of these notes, and then the 8th one is the octave. So, when you pass a note that you don't hit in like your whole step, like for example, if I go from A to B, 5, 7, in between there is A sharp / B flat, and I'm not hitting that note, but it's still in the span of one octave. And that same idea, that same concept, all 12 notes are right in between the 5th and the 15th fret on the E string. If I go from A to A, coast to coast, meeting one octave, I'm passing all 12 notes, and whether or not I hit them or not is totally dependent on the whole steps and half steps of the major scale. Again, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, and then we're back to our octave. All right? I hope that's making sense so far. I really do, because that's the main idea, the main concept of learning the fretboard, is learning all the notes in music and then learning the major scale. And then from there, you can start to apply both and dissect the entire fretboard, okay? So, all right. So how does this all make sense? Okay, so what? I know all 12 notes, and I know 7 notes are in a major scale /8, which is the octave, and then the scale starts over. How does that help me learn the fretboard? Well, it's actually really beneficial. So I'm going to teach you guys a pattern right here. The major scale on the 5th fret, A major, using 3 note per string. All right, we're going to go whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, octave. All right, and it's 3 note per string. I use this all the time. You guys see this in my demos and my playthroughs and all that stuff. So the A major scale, 1 octave, is this. So it's 5, 7, 9, 5, 7, 9, 6, 7. All right, and this shape, if I go 5E, 7D, you guys know this shape. I know you guys do. This is an octave. And I'm sure most of you guys know what an octave is. It's just the same note, just 1 octave or 1 pitch higher. And that's what I did in the beginning of the stream when I went. Those are all octaves right there. All those right there are A's. So having this information of all of the notes in music from this A to this A are right there in 1 octave. Okay, I'm going to show you what I mean. So I'm going to name the notes of A major. And this is, there's certain ways to learn the scales. I learned it in school because I had to for a test, right? Like I had to for a grade, and that's what I say all the time. I needed to. I had no choice but to, or otherwise I was going to fail my classes. So I didn't learn it on the guitar. I learned it on a piece of paper and on a piano, and then I had to translate it and transpose it onto the guitar. Where's Kevin? Oh, Kevin was in my class. Kevin was talking. He's giving me some shade right now. You can see I got tripped up. I was like, what's he got to say? Yeah, Kevin, phenomenal guitar player and even better theorist, if that's a word. Music theorist. He's way better than me at this. But yeah, he's a great, like a jazz funk player, really good player. Anyway, so I had to learn the scale on paper and on a piano and then transpose it onto the fretboard. So the A major scale is this. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, and then A. And then I'm back to my octave. All the notes that I didn't hit are all the other notes in the music, in what's called the chromatic scale. Chromatic meaning this. So chromatic is like when you go on every single note on the piano as a kid, you know, you go do 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 do. That means chromatic. So all the notes that I didn't hit all fit into this chromatic scale. Chromatic meaning this. That's 12 notes right there. But I only hit 7/8 of them. I only hit 8 to get to the octave. So how does this all make sense? Well, I had an itch back there. How does this all make sense? Well, all of the notes in music are in this scale. So now it's up to you to do a little bit of due diligence to figure out where all these notes are. All right? I'm going to start with a very obvious shape. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just pretend like my first finger is a capo. And I'm just going to start picking out all the different notes in this little box right here that is the A major scale, right in the middle of the fretboard. So if I go from 5th fret to the 6th fret, that's an easy one. That's A sharp / B flat. If I go one whole step, that's A to B. These are easy, right? These are the kind of the easy ones that we could kind of figure out with limited fretboard knowledge, or if we're you know, kind of just starting out. But like, let's say if I went to 5th fret, starting on the 5th fret is an A, and then I went to the 6th fret of the D. That's a little hard to understand and get right off the top of your head. So I'm going to outline all these notes for you, okay? So I'm going to start with a perfect 5th, which is a power chord. You guys know a power chord. You know, very Ramones, right? Now, this is going to have to do with a little bit of intervals. But if you don't know intervals, you can still figure this out. All right? And a perfect 5th is literally the 5th note in the A major scale, or any major scale. If I started on B, there's a different perfect 5th than there is for A. It's just you have to count up 5 steps on your scale. So, if I start on A, here's B, C sharp, D, E. So a perfect 5th is, so every power chord shape is a perfect 5th chord. And that's why sometimes you see like A5. It's because the shape implies that there's the 5th of the major scale of the root that you're playing. Root meaning, typically meaning the bass. And in this instance, the bass of my chord. So, this has to deal with just doing the little bit of homework and due diligence of memorizing this stuff. Like, I would highly recommend looking up perfect 5th chords and memorizing the literal letter names, because then once you figure that out, then you, as soon as you take your pointer and your pinky, if you will, and just put a power chord shape down. If I did this, like, let's say I memorized G, and I said, all right, G and D, well, then this has to be a D by default. And the fretboard will never lie to you, and music theory will never lie to you, because it's the same thing every single time. This, as long as you're in standard tuning, will always be a G power chord, and this will always be G and D. Just a way to check that, G, A, B, C, D. Perfect 5th. All right, so that's the perfect 5th concept, and I know you guys know your power chords. We all know our power chords. So, if we know this is E, well, that's another landmark for us to memorize the fretboard. So we have an A, and now we have an E. Okay, well, now it's time for us to just fill in the gaps, because we're already like dissecting the scale into like portions, into smaller chunks to make it easier to comprehend. So we have like A, we have A sharp / B flat. We have B. Well, what's a half step away from B? Well, as I said in the beginning of the stream, it's C. There's a C right there. And then we know, again, a half step from C is C sharp / D flat. So we have our first string memorized just kind of by breaking up it into chunks. We have our whole notes. We have our A, our B, and our C. Well, what's in between A and B? A sharp / B flat. And then what's in between, or what's after C? Well, it's C sharp / D flat. Does that make sense? Everybody, if anybody doesn't understand so far everything I'm saying, please let me know. Otherwise, if we're good to go, just give me a thumbs up. Give me some signal that we're okay, that we're understanding so far. All right. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page, or you know, following somewhat. If at any point in time this is confusing, just you know, you can always just ask me after everything's done, or you can just say I don't understand. All right, Mark says yes. All right, hey, just subbed. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it, dude. Good to go, Captain Colin, my dude. Burnt gerbil. All right, roger that. All right, sweet. All right, so, okay, so we have A sharp, B, C, C sharp. We have one string done. And although we might not have it memorized per se, you know, we could always just it'll take some time to get that under our fingers. I'm just trying to understand. I'm trying to get you to understand the concept for this lecture right now. Okay, so we have an A, an E, and another A. Well, now we just got to fill the blocks and fill in the gaps. We'll give you another easy one right here. Here's our A right here. That's our octave, right? Well, what's a half step down from A? Well, it's this note right here. And what it is just G sharp / E flat. Because, I mean, it's common sense, right? If this is A flat, this has to be A. It's always going to be A, and this is always going to be A flat / G sharp, like 1,000% of the time, as long as we're in standard tuning, and that will never go away. And the bigger picture is these types of what's called intervallic relationships and landmarks on the fretboard. If let's say all of a sudden I'm in drop B or something, if this is G flat or G sharp / A flat and drop B, this will always be A because we're always going up a half step. I know it's a little confusing because I'm not in drop B right now. I'm going to talk about drop tunings, but I'm just trying to get you guys to understand, to trust the fretboard and understand that music and music theory is always right. It's always like a right or wrong, yes or no. There's no subjectivity. This is always A. This is always A flat / G sharp. This is always A sharp / B flat. All right. So now we're starting to knock out all of our blocks. We have A sharp, B, C, C sharp, E, G sharp, and then A. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you one more common, really important interval. I gave you the perfect fourth. I'm going to give you the perfect, or I'm sorry, I gave you the perfect fifth. I gave away my answer. I'm going to give you the perfect fourth. And that is just the fifth fret, fretting both the E and the A. And why is it called the perfect fourth? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I'll go more into intervals and more in detail in another lesson. But perfect intervals, there's 3 of them. There's perfect fourth, fifth, and eighth octave. And what does that mean? What does perfect mean? Well, it means there's no major and or minor. It's just always major. There's ways to teach that, but just trust me on this. There's no such thing as a minor fourth or a major fourth. It's just perfect fourth. But for example, there's such a thing as a minor sixth and a major sixth, and there's no such thing as a perfect sixth. It's hard to say. Perfect sixth. So just 4, 5, and 8 are always perfect intervals, and intervals meaning in relationship to where you start, aka your root note. All right. So a lot of times people say in standard tuning, these aren't chords. And I would tend to disagree. They're perfect fourth power chords, basically. And the interval, again, is the fourth away from the root. So A, B, C sharp, and D. So that note right there is a D. All right? And if we start to kind of paint the picture here, well, what's a half step up from D? It's D sharp / E flat. And that makes sense because this was an E, our perfect fifth. This is now D sharp / E flat. So if this is D, D sharp / E flat, E, F. And why is this E to F? Well, there's no whole step in between E and F. Or I'm sorry, there's no in between E and F. It's just a half step. There's no other note in between. Why? Because somebody way smarter than me a long time ago decided that that's how music was going to be annotated and how it was going to be written. There's no whole step. I keep saying whole step. There's no note in between. I guess whole step would right, but there's no note in between E and F and B and C. It's just a half step apart. So B and E, F. All right, that's just something you got to understand. That's just something that, you know, because of reasons. Why is 2 plus 2 equal 4? Just because. Why is B and C and E and F just a half step apart? Just because reasons. You know what I mean? It's just like somebody decided a long time ago. That's just how it is. And I guess, you know, we can't argue it. You know what I mean? So I hope we're understanding like how the fretboard in this one little box is explaining all of music theory and all of the fretboard. So I'm gonna label the rest of the notes. I think there's only like one note I haven't labeled yet, and I think it's the 9th fret right here, and that is our 6th note in our scale. Well, if this is F, well, what's this? F sharp / G flat, right? I mean, it's common sense. A lot of this is common sense, man. It's nothing crazy. It's just common sense, right? So I think I've got all of the A scale labeled of the notes that I am playing and the notes that I'm not playing. So here's all the notes I am playing. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, right? And all the notes that I bypass, there's like little holes in this scale. Those are all notes, obviously, common sense, and those are all the notes in 1 octave scale. I'm just not emphasizing them, and I'm not using the whole steps and half steps of the major scale. But they're there, and they're in music. So all of the notes in music are literally in between this one little octave shape. All right? Does that make, like, when I figured that out, that blew my mind. Right here. That blew my mind. So, okay, so what, Ray? What does that all mean? Well, guess what? This shape, that is movable, right? That is you know, in music, if we play like a A minor pentatonic, if I play something like that, and now I transpose it to B minor, I'm in a different key, but it's the same shape, you know what I mean? And I think you guys notice if I move an A major shape to say G, now I'm emphasizing different notes of music, but all of the notes are still there, just not emphasized. All right? Does that make any sense? I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna take a pause. Stop talking for a second, because I explained all the notes in A, and now I'm gonna start to transition how to apply it to the whole fretboard. Is everybody tracking? Oh my God, my military showing. Is everybody making sense? Is everybody on the same page? Anything confusing at all? Anything at all? If not, I'll just keep going, all right? Omar says 10-4. Roger this. Nah, metal is the way to go. Hell yeah, dude. That 78 sounds sexy. Hell yeah, Kev. Thanks, man. One day I'll have to get you working on it. Maybe get some new pickups in it if I don't change them out. All right, so I gotta catch my breath. I've been talking for 30 minutes. So how does this all apply? Well, again, if I know one major scale and 1 octave, then all of those notes are all over the fretboard. Now it's just a matter of you, the performer, trying to figure out where the hell they are. You know what I mean? So I could easily just go, like I said in the beginning, I could go A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, A. Well, it's not very practical, right? We want to go vertically and, you know, depth, as long as we do go left and right and horizontally, you know what I mean? Go up or down the neck. So there's a couple ways you can do this. I would recommend learning 2 octaves or going all the way to the higher string, the high E, if you will. And 2 octaves A major scale is this. Oops. Does that make sense? I'll show you again. 579, 579. Hold on, let me slow myself down. I'm going too crazy. 579, 579, 679, 679, 7910, 7910. All right, and then back down. That's 2 octaves, well, 2.5. I'll show you where the 2 one is. The 2, the second octave of the A is on the 10th fret of the B string. And the way to check that is if you can stretch your hand out and grab another A that you know. Those are all A's, so a good way to check is if I play like a wrong note. If I go 5-7-9, well, that doesn't sound very good. Well, if I go 5-7-10, those are all A's, meaning those are all my roots, and those are all my starting points. The big picture is, and the big takeaway is that if all these are A's, and if I move them somewhere else and keep this exact same shape, for example, if I move them all to B, well, guess what? Now those are all B's. These are all C's. These are all C sharps. These are all D's. These are all D sharps. These are all E's. You see what I'm saying? Music repeats itself. Music is repetitive. Music is only 12 notes. There's no more, there's no less. You can choose to omit, meaning not emphasize notes, but you can only play 12. There's no more than 12. There's no, like, I think what a lot of people get frustrated on and tend to get hemmed up on is like Yngwie, phenomenal shredder. Some people don't like him. Some people respect him. That's me. I respect him. Don't like his music per se, but I can't deny he's a phenomenal physical player. He's one of the greatest of all time. He's only playing 12 notes at maximum. He's not playing any more than 12. He doesn't know any more than 12 because there isn't more than 12. So if you know your whole steps and your half steps, and you know the literal chromatic scale of A to A, for example, or G to G, 1 octave, that's all 12. And then if you want to play in key, like for example a major key, then you just got to know what notes are in the key. And then from there, then you just put it on your fretboard. And that is like 70% of music theory. It's just knowing what key you're in, knowing your whole steps and your half steps, whether you're a major or minor. I could always talk about that in a little bit. But knowing the fretboard is the most important thing. Because if you don't know the fretboard, how are you going to play with somebody who knows the fretboard and knows music? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say, again, like a hypothetical situation. It's like you're trying to try out for, I don't know, let's say Andy James just joined the Butcher Babies, for example, like 2-3 weeks ago. Let's say this, and his gig and his tryout, they're like, all right, hey, this song's in D major. I need you to solo over it. Go. 1, 2, ready, put it up. Psh. If he doesn't know where D is, how's he going to solo in D major? If he doesn't know the notes on the fretboard, how's he going to figure that out? And so I think the big takeaway for metal players is, yeah, metal players do this. All right, ready? Metal players are in drop most times, more often than not, especially in 2020. Well, guess what? Only one string has changed, and it's only changed by 1 step. Now we're in drop D. Well, guess what? That's still a D. That's still an E. What was once an A is now a G, because here's the A right here. It's just, everything's all the same. And all of music is the same, and it always will be the same. It'll always repeat, and the patterns will always be there. So it doesn't matter if you're in drop D, drop C, drop B, all of the notes are still the same, and all the patterns are still the same. Is anybody confused on that? Let me know. I see you guys are, I don't know if you guys are arguing with each other. I see you guys going back and forth about me wanting to play jazz or country or something like that. I'm going to make sure I got everybody on the same page. Let's see. Get noticed by Anthony. That's badass. Anthony Hernandez? I'm not sure who this gentleman is, but hey, thanks for tuning in, dude. I appreciate you. I'm one of them as hey, thanks for subscribing, man. I appreciate that. He's a friendly and cool guy, collabing with the Wild Bay. Hey, Stein, what's up, man? He's better if he played some country music, though. I will always struggle with the whole playing in key. No, you won't. No, you won't. Not if you keep watching. I know you won't. It's really easy. Playing in key is so much easier, man. Makes sense. Great lessons. I got my scale book with me. Thanks, Omar. I appreciate that. Okay. So I've spent 40 minutes on how to learn the fretboard, right? I'm going to tune back up to standard. So I've spent, like I said, 40 minutes dissecting the fretboard and explaining, hey, there's only 12 notes in music. They're all here. And if you know from 0 to 12, that's why, if you guys didn't know this, that's why there's 12 frets before one octave. I don't know if this is blowing your mind, if this is repetitive in review, but if I go from 0 to 11, that is E to D sharp. And if I go one step up, that's E. Well, guess what? All 12 notes are here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oops. All 12 are right there, and then it starts over. So if you ever wondered why there's 12 frets before an octave, and you know why that is, that's because there's only 12 notes in music. And then if you know from 0 to 11, guess what? You know from 12 to 24. Or if you have 22 frets like I do right now, then you don't need to know 2 less frets. And all of that's the same. And so if I do anything from, or I'm playing major scales right now. I just play one in A and then play one in G. But all of the notes are the same, man. Like again, starting with A, it's A sharp / B flat, B, C, etc. It's all the same, and it doesn't matter where I start. As long as I follow the patterns, it'll always be the same. And that's just the nature of how music works. And that's literally all of music, man. And it doesn't matter what tuning you're in, it'll always be that way. ZZ Top is ZZ Top considered metal? No, ZZ Top is considered blues. Yeah, like blues rock. Wait. That's all I know is ZZ Top. Not a very big fan, but anyway. Okay, so now playing in key. I'm gonna teach how to play in key now. Playing in key is a little bit, it kind of has to deal with the fretboard. I won't go too deep in this, as I do want to keep some stuff to my individual students that I teach via Patreon. If you guys are interested in becoming a patron and getting some lessons from me, by all means. But I don't want to just give everything away, as I want to make sure that the people that are, signed up for lessons have something extra and something special, because they support the channel, and I don't want to give away my lessons for free. So playing in key, again, everything has to deal with now what's called diatonic theory. And diatonic means playing the 7/8 notes in a musical scale. So again, I'm going to teach it in major. There's a ton of different scales out there, major, minor, and then you have to deal with the modes, which are derivatives of a major scale and altered major scales. But if I stick in just plain old major key, the old Ionian mode, playing in a key is just playing any of the 8 notes that are in this key in the one octave. And if I play a wrong note, well, guess what? It's not one of those notes. Yeah, again, I'll use C major. C major is the easiest one. C major is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. That same shape, 3 note per string, just starting on the 8th fret. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Coast to coast, 1 octave. So if I played a C sharp in the key of C major, that's not going to work. Good way to check it? Doesn't sound too good. If I played let's say if I played an A sharp in C major, here's my root. Here's my A sharp. Doesn't sound that bad, but it's not in key. I think a perfect example is that C sharp. That's way off, you know what I mean? Hey, take it easy, Brady. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for stopping in. So, playing in key, all you have to do is just play all the notes, or any of the notes, in a diatonic scale, meaning any of the 8 notes. And you can play as many as you want or as little as you want. So playing in C major, if I just played in A for the entire duration of my solo, I have 16 bars to work with. And if I just played this the whole time, extremely boring, but it's in key. Now, if I wanted to be like a super shredder, and I wanted to be in key, and I wanted to do a C major arpeggio of, you know, if I wanted to rip it up or something like that, you know, that's also in key, but it's not any more in key than just doing this, because it fits in with the scale. Makes sense. All right. Any questions on that? By all means, you're more than welcome to ask them, and I'll be willing to answer them for you. But any questions on the fretboard, man? Because and also too, I want to see if you guys are interested in this. I want to see if you guys are more interested in me doing more lessons, because I have no idea what you're saying. Did you tune in from the very beginning? I need to learn them and chord structure. So I want to know if you guys are you guys interested in me doing more lessons? If you are, I would love to do it. And what I'm trying to do is, I'd hope that you guys that are in rock and metal, the people that tune in my channel regularly, I think there's like a void for people wanting to learn theory and understand what's going on the fretboard, not knowing how to apply it to metal. And if you guys are interested in it, I'd love to teach it in a way that is broad strokes, and then keep everything kind of focused into my individual students. I think there is an audience for people that want to know theory and understand what's going on. It's just all the lessons are like, you know, very jazzy and very like bluesy, and like, you know, like, all right, so here we are in C sharp minor pentatonic or whatever, and it's like they'll play like a blues lick, and like, that's sick, like, you know, that's cool and all, but, you know, it doesn't apply to metal, and has no context and no understanding of metal, because metal is completely different in my opinion. So if that's something you guys are interested in, let me know. I see you guys chat. I'm gonna catch up with some of you guys. Are there theory videos in the $1 tier on Patreon? No. So $1 tier Patreon is you get early access to my videos. So the way my Patreon works in terms of lessons, there's 2 tiers, $20 and $70. $20 is 1 lesson a month, and then $70 is 1 lesson a week. So if you have a long month, like January, for example, you can get 5 lessons in a month for $70. I mean, that's a pretty good deal. But then again, if you $70, I can give you a one lesson a month for $20. $20 for 1 hour lesson. You won't find that very much anywhere on the internet and or in real life. So those are my tiers. So yeah. Let's see here. Yes, I agree. These videos are a good way for me to keep up and practice outside of my lessons with you. Yeah, so that's another reason why I want to do this stuff. Just again, broad strokes, and keep it fresh for people that are tuned in to me. I've tried to learn it, but I get better. I've tried to learn it, but I get it better when someone tells me and shows me like this. Well, that's the whole idea, man. I want people to understand it and allow me to teach it in a way that's more metal based. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't blues, this isn't jazz, this isn't classical. This is metal, man. You know what I mean? Metal is a blessing and a curse when it comes to theory. It's a lot easier, because we usually just do power chords the whole time. We don't do fleshed out chords like 6 chords and all that kind of crazy stuff, like a 6 chord. We don't really ever do that in metal. But at the same time, metal is both blessing and a curse, because we don't need to know that much, and that's why people don't use it at all, because they really just work on. You know what I mean? So it's a weird, interesting phenomena. Mostly just metal guitars jamming to backing track, not many lessons. So saying you want more lessons, or you need more lessons, or that you don't. I'm not sure what you mean there, Shane. I'm really sorry, buddy. I love to improve. It helps a lot. That's the idea, man. I want to help you guys out. lesson theory for metal. Hell yeah, Troy. Your lessons are awesome, bro. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Do you have any pointers to a noob like me? And don't say practice. I'll ask this way. Pointers about what? What specifically? Pointers. What do you want to get better at specifically? I'll ask that. I'll answer your question with a question. That way I don't just say the P word. Selling your soul to Satan. I gotta go. Check out the rest of the vid at a later time. Hey, later, dude. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, I don't want to say practice is the best way to learn, but I mean, it's like, kind of is, you know what I mean? I think finding a mentor would be the best thing to do if you want to take it seriously. That's something I wish I had found myself, and I never did. I never took lessons ever, and I still have never taken. I've taken one lesson with a local guy that is very very versed in classical guitar, and he was like got his master's in classical guitar. I learned something from him, a little bit of stuff, but again, it just wasn't based. And so like my advice before you answer my question is just find somebody that fits your style and that is proficient, and then pick their brain, because that'll be a lot easier for you to figure out what you need to know and what you want to know faster than if you just kind of just do it aimlessly and try to find people on YouTube or stuff like that. You know what I mean? I'll say practice for you, or purposeful practice. Yeah, Kevin's a phenomenal teacher, man. If you guys are in the local Lansdale area, Lansdale, Pennsylvania, he'll hook you up, dude. I played with so many awesome guitarists. All of them had egos. Egos aren't. This isn't 1982 where you got to be a motley crew and have a huge attitude to make it anymore. Because everybody can jam with everybody on the internet. Everybody's phenomenal. So yeah, to make it in this industry, you got to find a niche. You really have to find a niche. A niche is like the way to go, and I don't think there'll ever be another big giant metal band. Like I don't think there'll ever be a Metallica or, you know, Avenged or any of those big bands. I think those days have gone. Not a bad thing, because, you know, it allows people to have a voice and allows people like myself to get on the internet and meet new people and show my talents talents and creativity more than anything. You know, I think you got to find a niche in order to make it right now, and find a specific audience and find it quickly, because everything's getting filled up pretty quick, man. Let's see here. Four lessons on guitar, but 7.5 years piano when younger. Had a hard time figuring out the guitar. Thanks, Ray. Hey, Chris. I hope I helped, man. I hope it helped so far. Like I said, if you guys are interested, what it seems like most of you are, I'd love to do this stuff. And then again, just keep specific needs and or desires to my patrons, my students, if you will. And then, you know, I would love to just continue just do broad strokes of theory and guitar theory and stuff like that. I saw a comment right here, diversity and find several niches. I completely disagree, Mike. I really do. No offense, sir. No disrespect. I completely disagree, because, you know, I think in order to find, like, if you take a YouTube channel, for example, if you try to do everything on YouTube, like let's say I'm a guitar player, right? But I want to do jazz guitar, classical guitar, metal guitar, rock guitar, blues guitar. You know, I'm not going to have a specified audience. Nobody is going to know what to expect from me next, and I'm not going to gain any followers or subscribers. But if I have, like, for me, example, I have like a hard rock / metal community and audience and desire to play and perform and teach. Therefore, the people that tune into my channel know what to expect from me. But like, if I try to do everything right out of the gate and I don't have like any previous background in that, I don't think that'll work. And that's just my own personal opinion. And if you agree with it, that's fine. If you disagree with it, that's fine too. But yeah, I think having several niches I think you should be really, really good at one thing. Go 1 inch wide and 1,000 miles deep, rather than 1,000 miles wide and 1 inch deep. You know what I mean? That's just my own personal opinion. And yeah, I just hope we can agree to disagree on that. No hard feelings at all. Just yeah, I appreciate your input though. Seriously, works for Tyler Larson. I don't know who Tyler Larson is, but maybe he's a good player. Me too. Me too. All right. So, what scales does Slipknot typically learn or use? I love the way they write the riffs. Minor scale. Minor scale. Oh, music is win. Okay. Yeah. Well, he's been doing it for. Well, he doesn't do very many metal stuff. He does a lot of like. I think like conservative rock and blues stuff, which is cool. You know, I then again, I really don't watch his stuff too much, but anyway, agree to disagree. What scales does Slipknot use? So Slipknot really uses a lot of minor stuff, a lot of minor scales. Yeah, I did a video on like techniques of Slipknot and minor scales. They use a lot of minor scales on the low B string and just riff on that. So minor scales for sure. I'm thinking diverse like Fluff and Ola or Misha. Make pedals, review gear, have a band, be all encompassing. Yeah, again, but okay, I could see that terms of diversity. But again, like Fluff is like, and Ola's a better example. Ola only does metal. Like that's literally all he does. And Fluff does like hard rock and metal. You know, you'll never see you'll never see Ola do classical guitar. So I think Ola is still 1 inch wide and 1,000 miles deep. You know what I mean? Like he does and does everything in metal, whereas he doesn't do everything in guitar and a little bit of everything. Like Ola is very, very narrow in his niche. It's only metal. You know what I mean? Yeah, Ola metal, Fluff dad rock. Yeah, dad rock. That's a good way to put it. I call it hard rock / metal. But yeah, that is not very diverse. Like Ola doesn't do anything other than metal. You know what I mean? He just only does, yeah, but will it chug? Exactly. That's all Ola does. That's all Fluff. I think Fluff is a little bit bigger than Ola. Rabia is a little bit bigger than Fluff. But again, they're all very niche, very limited in what they do, and they only go in their niche 1,000 miles deep. You know what I mean? So I think that's a good way to make it, and a good way to stand out in a community, because if you try to do everything in every single community, you're going to get buried, in my opinion, in my own personal opinion. I want to play like Sun, so I'm saving up for my fog machine. I don't know who Sun is. I don't know who a lot of these people are that we're talking about here today, but that's cool, man. All right, so I've been talking for about an hour now, give or take. I want to open up to the old Q&A if you guys have any questions for me. You know, super chats always take precedence, but they're not mandatory for questions. Yeah, I just want to let you guys know, don't ever feel compelled to do that. But yeah, if you guys have any questions for me, by all means, I'm here. And man, you know, if you have any questions about just the fretboard in general or about anything in music theory related, by all means, I'm here. And yeah. When did I start playing? I started playing January 2003. And then I've had to take several breaks in my life. A lot of breaks. For sports, for injuries, for the Army, for more injuries. So I started in January of 2003 when I was 11. But then I would say I'm collectively, like if I were to say nonstop playing, I would say, I don't know, maybe 12 years. I probably have like a 3-year gap collectively between those years, from being hurt, needing surgeries, being in the Army, being all over the world. You know what I mean? Like doing a whole bunch of military training, being in the military, going on deployment, all that nonsense. A whole bunch of stuff that took precedence and took up a lot of time away from the guitar. You know what I mean? Let's see here. Great lesson chords when it comes to theory. So, without giving away my next lesson, without giving away my next video, my idea for chords is come up with a bass line, like a root of some sort, and then come up with 1 or 2 intervals that I'm going for like a vibe. I'm always going for a vibe with a chord, whether it's happy or nostalgic or sad or angry or pissed off, whatever. Those words are interchangeable. But I always go with the root 90% of the time. And then if I want, or if I even want to do an inversion, I will. But I know what I know what intervals go with what. And like a perfect example, like I used, perfect fourths and fifths are happy, minor seconds, major sevenths are angry. Sixes are kind of cool, they're kind of somber, depending on how you use them. Kind of not very happy, but not sad, kind of confused. The minor seventh is the dominant interval. Tritone, the evilest of them all, it's the Black Sabbath, the song Black Sabbath interval. The Devil's Note, I believe it's called. Yeah, so like that's my overall approach. Like if I do like a 9 chord right now, it's a very Pantera Floods. Where's that? There it is. So like I love 9th chords. It's a very huge, happy, kind of nostalgic all at the same time chord. At least I live in nostalgia when I'm writing, so I love 9 chords. So I always just go for a mood. Super chat from a very dead horse. Love the name, dude. Does Dean pay you? Where are your Deans made? Dean does not pay me. They do not send me a check or like a salary. All right, honey. Bye. I love you. That's my fiance. She's leaving to go out. But anyway, Dean does not pay me like a salary. I'm not like an employee, or I'm not like sponsored by Dean. Let's just say they're good. They're good people, and they take care of their players. Let's just say that. Yeah, I'm not like sponsored by Dean. They don't pay me to play their stuff. And where are they made? So one was made in South Korea, I believe, and then the other one, the 7-string, was made in the United States. I'm looking to put in another order for a thoroughbred silver burst. I think that'd be really sick. I just gotta save up for it and move some stuff around. Get rid of 1 or 2 guitars. So that weird thing is happening where the sun is shining through and turning me into a ghost. So I gotta turn off the lights. Is that better? No, that is not better. Alright, so I'm just gonna rock with it until the sun goes down. It's this weird time of day where that is annoying, but anyway. Yeah, so USA is the 7-string silver burst, and Korea is the stealth, the DB stealth, the 6-string. Cool, I got my first guitar at 10, but really didn't start playing at 14. Hell yeah, man. Hey, I don't know how old you are now, but still, 14 is a really good year, time of somebody's life to learn something. The younger you are, they say, the more you obtain stuff. And I feel like me personally, I learned a lot between 11 and like 15. And then, hey, you're 27, I'm 28. I'm one level ahead of you, man. Catching up though. Yeah, I just feel like when you're younger, man, like you learn so much, and then you kind of plateau, and then like you kind of like have to force stuff to get to another level. But yeah, 14's good, man. As someone who has only been playing a year, what music theory would most important to learn as for a metal player? Learn the fretboard. Learn the fretboard. 100% learn the fretboard. I would stick to 1 or 2 tunings, no more than 2. Probably just 1, honestly, if I'm being honest. Stick to 1 tuning, man, and just memorize the hell out of it and understand it. And then, from there, then you can start to branch out into theory and, like, understand modes and all that stuff. I want to teach modes on the channel, but, you know, again, don't want to give away everything because there's people that are signed up for lessons, that are paying for lessons, and I would hate to disrespect them and give away what I'm teaching them for free. So I would never want to do that to them. But yeah, learn the fretboard, man. Remember 1 or 2 tunings. I would recommend just 1. I'd recommend standard. It's not very metal. It's not the most metal thing in the world. But I'm kicking myself for never memorizing standard first. I always memorized drop B first, and then I'm regretting that I did that, because drop B, although it's sick, it's probably my favorite tuning of all time. It's not the most practical thing, especially when you start to play with other well-versed and eclectic musicians that play in standard. Yeah, like you become lost, and you have to like catch up quick. So yeah, learn the fretboard, man. That's what a lot of metal players and rock players don't do, and I understand it because I did the exact same thing. I'm the exact same way. Yeah, I would just learn the fretboard, man. I spent a lot of time. I say this all the time, but I spent a lot of time with jazz and classical guitarists who would blow my doors off. Who would blow my doors off in terms of like their theory. You know, I could keep up in physicality, I guess. You know, I guess, you know, I was okay in that aspect, like playing a song once I had it mapped out, memorized. But in terms of like improvising, they'd be like, all right, okay, our song is in D Dorian, play the relative minor of D Dorian / C major, and I had to be like on the spot, mess with my head because I couldn't keep up at first. I couldn't figure it out until I like took the time and took, you know, found books online and ordered them, and you know, whatever, and really spent time learning the fretboard and understanding standard tuning. So that would be my biggest recommendation. Somebody that's just starting out, get over that desire to want to play heavy and play in drop tuning, and just memorize the fretboard, man. That's all I can say. Just memorize the fretboard, and it'll help you out for the rest of your musical journey, wherever that takes you. What exercises are the best to learn sweeping? I saw the Sinister Gates school as a pretty nifty thing. So I'm not sure what that is. I mean, I obviously know who Sinister Gates is. I'm a huge Megadeth fan myself. So Sinister Gates, you know, I'm just kidding. I know he's in Avenged Sevenfold. Don't get freaked out. Sweeping. I guess do the C chord pattern, which is like if I do it in, I don't know, let's pick it. Let's say if I do B, like here's B major. It's all done with arpeggios, which means individual notes, root, third, fifth. And then switch it to minor. And then use a fret wrap. I have no shame in using a fret wrap to make my sweeps a little bit cleaner when I'm practicing. So that's minor, and then major is just moving up that third from a flatted third to a regular third. And again, this all has to go back to learning the fretboard. My favorite one is probably the A one. So to answer your question, learn the cage system, the C pattern, meaning the C chord. So like if I went, and I just put all, I'm slowing down. So if I play this sweep right here, right, that's a sweep. So now if I fret all those notes I just played, it's a little awkward because I have to bar it. That shape right there is the same as like a regular bedroom chord C, like a C major, one of the first chords you learn as a kid. So learn this shape, and then just do like three notes, three strings of that sweep. And then make it minor, flatten it. Now I'm not the most proficient sweeper. I'm also playing on a dad rock guitar, so it's not the most red, if you will, but I would do that and then just like slowly work up the speed. Oops. And just practice. Practice for months, years. Don't ever stop practicing. I don't practice my sweeps as much as I probably should. But yeah, like at one point in time in my life, I did this for like a year. And I'm not really like sweeps. I'm not really like I said, I'm not really a shredder, as you can see. But that's what I would do, man. I would learn this shape. And then you can learn like a whole bunch of other ones, like where, you know, I won't go into the nomenclatures of that, but that's what I would do. All right. So we got some people tuning in, man. Hey, thanks. I appreciate you guys. If you're tuning in now, if you're a little bit late, that's fine. You can obviously, once this gets uploaded, you can go back and learn the lesson, if you will. But right now I'm just doing the FAQ portion of the show that I always do, where you guys pick my brain. After this, I got to film the old Ask Ray show as well. But yeah, if you guys have any questions for me, like I said, super chats are not mandatory, but always welcome. Help support the channel. And yeah, I'm just going to keep tuning in and saying hi to some of you guys, and then just teaching a little bit along the way, all right? Okay. What's your favorite Deftones song to play? I don't really like playing Deftones. I mean, obviously I love Deftones, but they're really easy. They're really easy songs to play. I guess like Shove It, My Own Summer. You've seen The Butcher's sick, but no offense to Steph, but his songs are so easy to play. It's like I don't like playing Deftones. I'm not in the right tuning, but like Be Quiet and Dry is a good one too. Yeah, I'm in so I'll play it in standard. It's like you know, I love the band, I love the music, but it's not hard, it's not challenging at all. So I don't think I've ever really sat down and spent more than 15 minutes learning a Deftones song. Andrew, what's up, dude? How you doing, man? Yeah, a little late to the party, but that's all right. Fashionably late, if I could speak. As soon as I started learning theory, my compositions started getting better and better and actually fit together. There you go. See? Somebody gets it. Somebody can attest that I'm not crazy. Let's see here. I got my acoustic when I was 14, took some lessons, disliked them now. Being 19 2 months ago, I bought an electric, and now I can play a bit better and drop tunings. Hell yeah, man, that's awesome. You know, it's all about being inspired to play. It's not always about, you know, learning per se. Learning's fun, but you know, if you're not enjoying what you're doing, then why are you doing it? You know what I mean? This is how I think. Hell Ray, you're a champ, dude. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. My man's like Batman. Give him a day and he figures anything out. Kev, I don't know about that. I didn't figure it out that one song. What's that called? The spirits, the meeting of the spirits or whatever. The like. Wait. However that song goes, I could never figure out that song. We never played that song. And now that this whole thing's happening in the world, we can never meet up and play it. One day we will, though. All right, quick pop on. Gonna have to watch later, man. Hope all is well for you. Stay metal. Hey, thanks, dude. Always good to see you. Hope you're doing well. My favorite sweep exercise there, but also in Break by 3 Days Grace has the simple sweep lick to learn. Hell yeah. Sinister Gates School is basically a website. It's in teaching a lot of techniques from what I've heard. Hell yeah. Thoughts on PRS single cuts? I was actually, doing the whole musician's friend reverb, I guess what would you call that? Safari last night. I was looking at some PRSs. They're cool, man. I owned one PRS for a brief stint, like an S2. They just didn't do it. It just didn't do it for me, man. It's like a very dad rock guitar with no low end. Like this thing's a dad rock guitar by all means, but I thought the PRS just had no oomph behind it, and I don't know if that was just because of the one I got or whatever, but yeah, Meeting of the Spirits, that's it. But anyway, yeah, S2, I just never got into it, man. I never really got into PRSs at all. I mean, unless I find one that I like one day down the road, by all means, man. I like Dean, I like Gibson, the old school Gibsons. I don't like new Gibson. I like old school Gibson. Yeah, PRS just not for me. I don't know why. Just because of reasons, I guess. Hey, Robbie. Yo, Ray, sorry I'm late. Love that Les Paul. Hey, thanks, man. Better late than never, right? Fashionably late to the party, as I said. Ray said he thinks single cut guitars is a Gibson thing, and it's weird for him to see other guitars like that. Exactly. It's like, yeah, like S2s and single cuts. Like, okay, I had a PRS S2 single cut, and exactly, it's like, any single cut, even like a Dean Thoroughbred, a Kiesel single cut, an ESP single cut, like they're all cool, but it's like there's only one single cut. It's like if you have a Strat, you know what I mean, that's not Fender, it's like yeah, it's cool, but it's, you know, it's not the thing. You know what I mean? That's just how my brain works and what my beliefs are. So I don't know why I feel that way. I just do, and I can't help it. So, what do you think about Korn? Probably my favorite band. Korn's cool. I don't mind Korn. Not my favorite band. I used to like them back in the day, as everybody did. But yeah, they're okay. Just okay, in my opinion. Nothing earth-shattering or groundbreaking for me in terms of music. But, you know, they got some great killer classic songs. You can't deny that by any means. What do I remember that right. Glad to help. Yeah, you're the man, dude. Thanks. I appreciate you keeping me sharp. Because sometimes I forget what I even say. Or what I, like, you know, I obviously talk throughout the day to many people or whatever. I always forget what I say to the channel, what I say to my students or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I always forget who knows what, you know what I mean? So I appreciate you keeping me sharp and holding me accountable, I guess. Let's see. Any opinions on Schecter? I own a Schecter and it's my favorite guitar out of my rig. So yeah, I can't say anything but good things about Schecters. I've had two on the channel in its entirety. Evil Twin and the SLS Elite, I believe. And they're both phenomenal. I mean, stainless steel frets, Fishman's, neck throughs, 24 frets, butt heel truss rod adjustment, and they played great. I got rid of them both because I was funding purchases, you know, to keep the content going on the channel. Yeah, just Schecter, like I think one gentleman here says brand loyalty. I don't know if that's what I am, but I don't know if I am or not. But I know that Schecter's not my brand as of this point in time in my life. You know what I mean? I like what I like, and as people liked, you know, like what the other. I'm not making any sense. People like what they like, and people don't like what they don't like. And Schecter for me is like, I love the guitars, man. I love those two guitars that I had, but it's just like it didn't feel like me. You know what I mean? Like this feels like me. People say all the time I play dad rock guitars in a metal context, and that feels like me. Like fan frets, multi-scale, Floyd Rose super shredders aren't me. 8-strings aren't me. But this and like a Fender and a Dean are like me, and I embrace that. So when I had those Schecters, it's like, yeah, they're sick and they play so good, and I love them, but it just, you know, guitar players are kind of like spiritual in the sense that like they give character to their instruments, and like they get an identity. It's only wire and wood, as Steve Vai says, but they have a personality. And I just wasn't loving my Schecters, and I wish I did because they play great. So long story short, I like Schecter a lot. I really do. They're just not my identity as an artist and as a guitar player. You know what I mean? So yeah, if that wasn't too hippie, I hope that wasn't too hippie for you. I apologize if it was, if I got a little too spiritual on you. But yeah, that's just how I feel about Schecter. Hi, says Dime Taco Kid 75. What's up, man? I hope you're doing well, or girl, or whoever you are. I hope you're doing really well. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. Brand loyalty, all good. I have single cuts and Les Pauls, LTDs, EC, love them all. Hell yeah, man. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with having multiple brands. I mean, you guys know me. If you guys watch my stuff, I have a lot of brands. And like I said, I don't know if I'm loyal to them, but I do like certain things. And, you know, I think I like certain guitars more than I do brands. Like, I hate Gibson's brand right now, especially. But here I am holding one. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense. But this thing, I've had to fight with it and take it to so many people to get it restored and fixed. And, you know, it's certainly taken on its own identity and its own characteristics. And, you know, I love it for that, even though I don't like the name, per se. Doesn't make sense, I know. Being in Philly, are you a Flyers fan as well, or just an Eagles fan? Ooh, so I don't hate the Flyers, but I'm a weird Philadelphian, if you will. My parents grew up in Trenton, New Jersey, so I got the Jersey influence as I grew up in Pennsylvania. So I got best of both worlds, I guess, or worst of both worlds, whatever you want to call it. So my sports teams, I'll just say this. I like the Flyers, but I'm a Devils fan. I I like the Flyers. I don't hate the Flyers. You're supposed to hate the Flyers if you like the Devils. I don't. I like both. But I'm a Devils fan. I've always been a Devils fan. I like the Eagles a lot. Big Eagles fan. I'm a Yankees fan. Don't like the Phillies. Again, the whole jersey thing. And basketball, I guess Sixers. I'm not really a basketball guy. And then soccer, not really. I like United States. You know what I mean? I don't really cheer for club teams or anything like that. But yeah, Flyers are sick. But I've always been a Devils fan. And I used to love the Flyers when they had like Leclerc, Primo, Simone Gagne, Brashear, that whole team, Esch, the like mid to early 2000s. That was a lot of fun to watch hockey back then. Let's see. Hey, thanks. Hey, we got a lot of people watching again. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I appreciate you always. Flea Flame, are you lifting, man? You look pumped. Thanks, dude. I appreciate that. That's the first time anybody said that to me in about 5 months. No, 5 years, not 5 months. Ever since I've had like 10 surgeries. Yeah, man. I'm all healthy. I had my last elbow surgery last month. It's still healing, but I said, fuck that. I'm gonna keep lifting, because everything else is really healthy, and I feel great. And then of course, as soon as I get healthy, all this happens in the world. But yeah, I'm lifting again, and it's really exciting. I got my dumbbells that I do my dumbbell exercises every day, and I'm putting on weight again, and I feel healthy, and I don't need another surgery, knock on wood. Yeah, so yeah, I'm excited. Thanks for that, dude. That makes me so happy. You just made my day. Thanks for saying I look bigger and I don't look like a little kid anymore. I appreciate you. As long as we are on the guitar brands, have you ever played Harley Benton? If yes, what are your take on them? Yes. So I played one at the Tone King's house last year when he invited me over. He lives in Jersey, about an hour and a half away. I played a like a super shredder kind of thing. I don't know the names of the what's that called? The models. I'm losing my mind. Yeah, I don't know the name of what I played, but it was like a Jackson Soloist lookalike. But I think it's really cool. I think it's a really cool idea. I don't know how they can get those price points for all the features that they have, but I think it's really cool, man, that you can get a roasted maple stainless steel fret guitar for like $400 or something like that. Like, that's insane. Ugh, I'm burping. And I want to get one, and I would have no problem waving the Harley Benton flag. It's just a matter